Hey guys, Kev here, and I have a cool video to do for you. So this is the ATKnives HALT. That's H-A-L-T, HALT, and ATKnives from my boy Addicted to Knives, Lewis. He's a local buddy, and this is his first knife design. You guys probably saw the prototype on the channel, and I jumped in on the pre-order because I absolutely love this design. This is his first knife design, and he absolutely destroyed it. It's with Best Tech. The retail cost on these is $2.99, which I think is extremely reasonable. I think the pre-order was like $2.89 for these fat carbon ones. There is a micarta version. I don't know if that one's $2.89 retail. We can maybe take a look, but these are dropping tomorrow, October 2nd at 1 p.m. Eastern, as I understand, on their website, ATKnives.net. Link will be down below. Check out the description in the comment section for that. And yeah, I just wanted to show you guys. I wanted to do a disassembly, throw some skiffs in these puppies, one or both of them, I'm not sure. This is the one I pre-ordered because I really loved the Mars Valley Fat Carbon when I had the prototype. He actually sent me, I think, all 3 prototypes, which was cool to see them all. And I love Purple Haze. I'm a big purple fan. But I don't know, something about the Mars Valley stuck out to me. But when they came in, Lewis was kind enough, and he actually gave me this purple one as well. He said it was a thank you for the help that I gave him during the process. I just, I've been through working with OEMs and doing pre-orders and all of that stuff. So I gave him any advice I could and that kind of stuff. So I really appreciate that. It was a very generous gift. And yeah, thank you to Lewis for this, because it does help a lot, because I was kind of torn between the two, and I went with the Mars Valley, but I still really like the purple. Now I don't have to worry about that. And today I have a little matchy match going on with my Divo knives nip slip. So if you guys have a nip slip, these are available at traditional pocket knives. I think they're still available at traditional pocket knives. We have dark matter purple. So I was rocking my DM purple nip slip with my, let me get this out of here, Purple Haze HALT. It's a really nice combination. And then the next day, I was rocking my Mars Valley HALT with my DM orange nip slip. So you can match up either of these, which is really cool. We also have a dark matter glow version of the nip slip, if you want to check that out. And he also has a micarta version of the HALT. So you can do some cool combinations. I really like a combo like this because it allows me to have the more laid back slip joint in my pocket for, when I just need to open an envelope or a package or something. And, I just want to take my time with it, and or it's in public or something like that where I'm more concerned about whipping out a folding knife. I can take this out of the slip and, hand it to somebody or open something in public. And then, when I need to cut down some cardboard or, do some kind of other stuff, I have a full-size folding knife like this in my pocket. So really good combination of stuff there. But back to the HALT. This is the packaging. ATK box, ATKnives. Nice and simple, small, low profile. I like that magnetic clasp on the front. Pops up. You get a little troll candy. You get a foam cutout, which is nice. And I believe the sticker was inside, or it was in the package. I can't remember exactly, but that is how it comes, which is really nice. Size-wise, it is a good size knife. I believe it's right around 3.5 inches. We can compare it to some stuff here. I think a good comparison would be the Kaiser Militaw. I have a newer version. This is a budget version of the Militaw. I don't know if these are available yet or they're dropping with Kaiser stuff later this month, but I'm pretty sure it's the same size as a full-size Militaw. So that is it lined up with the full size. Then I actually have a mini Militaw, which is fantastic, by the way. Also dropping later this month. Smaller knife there. Let's try to get these all pivot to pivot. There we go. So you can see the size difference. It's almost dead on with the Militaw, maybe slightly smaller, and definitely quite a bit smaller than the mini, but I thought it would be good to show you that combination. The Stout V2 is another good comparison. This is a lefty, but let's see. We'll line it up at the pivot. And we have a little bit more blade length and a little bit more handle. So 3.4 maybe on this blade would be my guess. Unless the Militaw is a little bigger than I thought. Yeah, just about 3.5 actually. Cutting edge 3.4. No, 3.3. 3.4, one or the other. So that's pretty good. And then you have a handle length of, let's see, just about 4 1/8, or 4 1/4. So 3.5 and 4.25. So 7 3/4 of an inch overall, which makes sense because this is 7 1/2. So it's basically a 1/4 inch longer. 1 point or 0.125 on the blade and the handle, something like that, longer. So there gives you some size comparisons. And weight-wise, very lightweight, very slim, nice and slim, really good in the pocket. It disappears, in my opinion. I've really enjoyed carrying it. 0.49. I'm surprised by that. It honestly feels... Let me make sure this is zeroed out, because that does not seem right to me. This seems so much thinner than that. I mean, either way, it feels that thin, so it doesn't matter, but yeah, 0.49. Now, it is contoured, so keep that in mind. I'm surprised. It's actually thicker than the Stout V2. Yeah. A tenth of an inch, or whatever that is. It's very close. Very, very close. So if you have a Stout V2, you know what that feels like. I think both of them with the contouring, it's going to feel really good in the hand. And yeah, so there is that. It is a Warney style blade shape. You can see there. I don't think there's any flat spot in there, but I will double check it. Let me grab something flat like this. And I'm not seeing any space there. Maybe ever so slight at the tip, but nah. It's a Wharncliffe blade, which is nice. Really good for utility cuts, slicing cuts, like cardboard and such, rope cutting, things like that. Not going to be as good for penetrating type cutting, but it does have a hollow grind. It's nice and thin. Bestech has done a great job with their hollow grinds and belt satins. It's a really nice looking one. I enjoy it quite a bit. Plunge grind looks good. It looks like it comes to about right there. Oh, focus. Right there. So you have quite a bit of life there. There is a stop pin up here, which lands inside of this part on the blade, on the tang. And then when open, looks like the same spot? No. What? Okay, it has a little hook on each side, basically. What I'm trying to figure out is, can you cut in here? And it looks like you can. You can see the choil down there. So you'd be able to cut that deeper if you wanted to. I know some people care about that. So construction, you have T8 screws on the inlays, on the pivot, on the insert and on the clip. Very nice. You have a thumb hole for deployment. Interestingly, we had the prototypes come in around the same time as our Fireball design with Stasa 23, and they both, Stasa and Lewis, designed the same hole shape separately. Neither of them had seen the other knife when they came out. We got the prototypes around the same exact time. I thought that was very interesting. Now, the hole is a little bit longer on the Fireball, but very similar, maybe a little taller too. But I thought that was a really interesting similarity there. Pretty, what was I going to say? The pivot does not have a logo on it. I believe he originally had his ATK logo on there, but I'm glad it's not on there. I don't like those lasered on logos. The inlays are done extremely well. Bestech has done very well with that. Can't feel the transitions, maybe just slightly on this one, but I mean, it's really, really good. The spine of the handle feels very smooth. Everything is done really well. The one thing I would point to, and this is common on basically all bolster locks, and I'll even, to be fair, I'll show you our knife, the Stout here. You have this little corner on a bolster lock where the inlay goes over the lock bar that sticks out, and it can be a little sharp. So depending on how you're holding the knife, you might feel that on your finger or something. Now, it is super easy to fix. I didn't actually do it on this one because I always use the finger choil, so I never feel it. But if you needed to, you just use a piece of sandpaper, or I think what I used was my Leatherman, the file on my Leatherman, and you literally just take it and hit that corner. And I did that here. Let me zoom in. It's because I have two knives out. It's trying to focus on both. I'm using this phone for the first time as my camera. I was using a iPhone 12 Pro that I bought on eBay last year to record with because I didn't want to use my personal phone. But I just got the 16 Pro Max iPhone, so I'm using the one I got last year, the 15 Pro Max, as my new camera for the channel. So hopefully it looks a little bit better going forward, but let's try the zoom out here. I barely use the cameras, honestly, for anything where I need to zoom in or whatever, unless I'm doing it for the channel. So you can see that corner here I hit with a file. Now, I wasn't super careful, so I did hit the insert or the lock bar there a little bit. I don't care about that, but you could just tape that off or just take the scale off like a smart person and do it with the scale off. But this is very smooth now, so if I grip it, I'm really not feeling that at all. So that helped a lot. Did the same thing on this one. And you can see I hit the frame lock again, but it's simple, it's easy. Just use a file or sandpaper and just kind of hit it on an angle. Hold on, let me zoom back out. Hit it on an angle this way, like this, and like that, and just try to, you know, smooth it out, get all those corners. There are some companies like Jack Wolf where they actually built that kind of little angle into their CAD file so that in production that actually is there already. But it still tends to be sharp because it's just the way it's finished by machine, whatever. You would have to ask the OEM to by hand just sand that corner off. And so I think that's why it's just hard to get that done on a production knife. But you can do it and it takes 2 seconds, if it even bothers you. You know what I mean? Another example would be like Vero with the synapse and everything. Like this corner's very sharp. So again, completely normal. But I wanted to point it out. It's one thing on the knife that I guess is a little nitpick for me. Otherwise, I really love it, man. Would I love a finger choil? Yes, I would, but then it would be very much like a stout if it had a finger choil. I mean, it's obviously not the same, but I like that it's different, you know? And not everybody loves a finger choil like I do. So Lewis obviously enjoys a full handle like this, and aesthetically probably enjoys the way this looks. So, you know, I'm glad it's different and I like it. So there's that. You can, if you want to, choke up on that if you needed to for whatever reason. I wouldn't do it for anything you need to bear down on, but you can do a pinch grip, which works just fine. So yeah, detent, snappy, nice click on the close. Both of these have a nice sound acoustically. Now, I know he picked out ones that were strong for me because I prefer strong detents. The note said that, so I know he did, which I appreciate. But from handling the prototypes, they were all good. You know, I think one or two were a little bit more of a medium detent, but they still felt great. You weren't gonna fail them or anything, and they have you know, good retention and everything. So I mean, yeah, very good. You're not gonna just easily shake it out or anything. Centering is dead on. One thing I really like about the design, and maybe we'll look at this when we take it apart, but if you take the blade out here, you can see that backspacer kind of hooks up at the end, but it's a very thin area there, and it's before the tip. So that tip really gets buried in there. So you're not gonna have any problem like getting your finger on the tip. I really like that. That's an interesting way to do it. If you look at, say, the stout, you don't have that there. Now, is it a problem? Are you going to get your finger in there? No. But he wanted to get as close as he could, I'm sure, to the end of the handle. Let's see if we can compare. So that's something we really strive for too, not to leave a lot of handle. So that's really close, but there's, you know, maybe 1/8 of an inch there or something. And you can see on this guy, and it's hard to tell because of the angle on the, let me grab a flashlight. Yeah, I would say it's similar, maybe a little bit better. And I think that's really cool that he thought of that little detail. Makes the tip look good as well. Backspacer's good, you know, solid backspacer. It's about 1/3 of the way up. The clip works really well. I like the contact point feels good. I've had no issue with it going in pocket. It pops in, pops out. Has good retention. I've enjoyed carrying it. I carry it in my side sort of hip pocket on my off the grid pants. If you want to know more about the pants, I have videos on it. There's a link down below. Basically, they give you extra pockets, which are fantastic for knives and cell phones. So I really appreciate those pockets, but that's mostly where I carry right-handed knives. So I don't carry them in my front reinforced pocket, which, you know, might be a little bit harder to get in and out. I haven't tested it. I'll try it. Nah. I mean, it pops right in and out. So clip feels good. Nicely on point with the frame there. Yeah, it's an excellent knife, guys. There's really nothing to nitpick except for that little corner. And like I said, every bolster lock is like that. I said this in my prototype review, but I really love a couple things design-wise. I love how the inlay kind of curves here. I really like the look of that versus sort of a straight line, which, again, you know, we have a straight line here. Do I think this looks good with the milling and everything? Yeah, I think it looks great. But I will admit, I like this little curve. I think that just looks cool to me. And then you have a straight lock bar versus having a little, you know, so this is all design stuff. but I really like the aesthetic of this knife. I think it's a really good looking knife. I like how high up the lock bar comes. It seems way higher to me than normal, but again, it's not really, I guess. It just looks like it to me. So I think he's got really good blade to handle ratio. I guess another nitpick somebody could have, it doesn't bother me, is the detent track does come out of the handle there. So you can see the detent track outside of the handle. And then as you close it, you'll see that detent ball pop up. But that allows you to have really good blade to handle ratio, which I like. And it doesn't bother me that some of the track is exposed. The ball isn't when it's open. It doesn't bother me at all. But wanted to point it out. I know some people are interested in that. But yeah, I just love the position of that. And it also makes it really nice to disengage. Even though the lock bar where it connects is up here, right? You're pushing down here. So you're not even really disengaging on the insert area. You're doing it down here. I mean, you can. If you wanted to, you could disengage up here. And that leads me to another positive. But look at that. Just easy to disengage. No problem. Even with a stout detent, which means the lock bar is a little bit stronger. I mean, it doesn't hurt at all. It's one of those knives that you're just not going to... You're not going to sit on the couch watching a movie, flicking it, and then go, ah, man, then your thumb starts getting raw. You know how that happens if you're a knife nut like me, which is probably why you're watching this. But some knives, if you flick them over and over and over and over, if they don't have a really good lock bar access or or it's not a soft lock bar, it can get a little bit uncomfortable. But this knife just doesn't have that at all. There's not a ton of access. You can see there's just a little bit cut back, but it doesn't harm the lock bar access. It's fantastic. And again, you can disengage it from wherever you want. And part of that is because it has an excellent detent location. So I don't know if it's just a commonality with sheep's foot style blades, something to do with the blade shape perhaps that lends towards an early detent versus a drop point or something else where detents tend to be later. I don't know. I don't have any, data on that. But almost all sheep's foot knives, I think, have a really good detent in terms of location. So watch this. When I disengage, that is where it sits on the lock bar. So again, you can check out the stout. This is left-handed, but I mean, it's hard to even not clear it, you know. It would be very difficult to get stuck on one of these detents because they're so good. I mean, look at that. Barely any angle to that, and I would rate these by the angle. So it's excellent. So what does that mean? Well, it means when you disengage the knife, it's past that detent almost immediately. Like, that's what you have to do to get stuck on it, is like try to get stuck on it, right? So if you clear it, then you can just get out of the way and shake the knife down and you're good to go. Even if you get it up here, which is way up close to the blade where normally you'd get stuck on it and double clutch, it'll clear. I mean, it's excellent. And that's a good thing for lefties, because when you go to disengage, you want to just clear that detent ball, and then you can readjust and shake the knife down. So a knife with a late detent, that can be annoying. See if I can find you an example. I don't know where this Militol is. Now see, this one's nice and early too. Love it. Love it. I don't know if I have a good example. No, that one's pretty early too. This new Fentizo knife. Well, this isn't a terrible one, but you can see the difference, right? You can see the difference between that and that, right? So you can disengage the knife and get stuck. and then you go to shake it, and what happens? You shake it up and you double clutch it. Or if you're left-handed, you don't push it far enough past when you disengage, and now you're stuck and you got to throw it past, or you double clutch, right? This really isn't that bad. It's actually pretty good, but I had to show you an example, and I don't like knives like that, so they don't stick around. All right, excellent knife, fantastic. If you want to pick one up, they're dropping tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern at ATKnives.net. I'm not sure if any dealers have them. I think White Mountain Knives might or did. I'm not sure. So you can check that out, but link is in the description. I'm going to go ahead and take these apart so you can consider this the review section of the video, and we're going to get into the disassembly portion of the video. So here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and guess that this has Skiffs, not Skiffs, that it has 5mm 1/16 bearings in it. Which means we should be able to put Skiffs in it, which is great. Yeah, all the tools and everything I have here, the tray, these are from Tinker Force. The finger bit, which is good for spinning barrels and such, not going to be needed here. This is from Skiff Workshop, absolutely excellent. You can get the bearings at Skiff Workshop. You can get the test fit card so that you can figure out what size bearings you need in your knife from Skiff Workshop. And I do have a link in the description and a discount code. LeftyEDC will save you 10% off at skiffworkshop.com. So if you need any of this stuff, it's all linked down there somewhere. So let's get into it. Let's do the purple one first, I guess. It's going to have a D-shaped barrel, T8s. So there's your pivot screw. Drop that down. You're going to have a D shape there. It's a little dirty in there, but that's, I'm gonna see if that's the focus issue, or maybe it's just me, I don't know. So we're gonna take that out, and then we're gonna just take it apart from this side, which makes the most sense because the clip is on this side. And you obviously wanna take it apart from the side where the pivot screw comes out, so you don't have to be all awkward about it. Very easy to take all this out, which is nice. I do like that the clip doesn't hide a screw. It is the second inlay screw. So that's really nice. On this side, you're going to have two. On this side, you're going to have one in the clip, which is really nice. I like that. Then you have your little body screws under here. These are going to be T8. Oh, they might be T6. Nope, they're T8. Yeah, usually if they're domed like that, they're T8. If they're inset, like you'll see on Riot made knives, then they're going to be T6 because they're worried about the head breaking off or whatever. So those two come out, make sure they're separated, and now our knife comes apart. Don't need any milling because you have a lot milled out here for the inlay. Weight is good anyway. Take off our blade. We have washers. This is all very usual stuff here, which is good. Take our pivot out, and you're just gonna have a D-shaped pivot. Now, I will admit, I'm not the biggest fan of a solid D-shaped pivot. So the entire length of the barrel is D-shaped. I do wish it was just the end. And the reason I don't like that is because it means you're going to have part of the blade that's riding on it won't have a perfect circle. It'll be a flat, which I don't know how much that can affect action, but it's just something I don't particularly love. Pardon me, I'm a little sick here. Okay, let me get a little drink. Yeah, we've reached 6th season. Just get this guy off. Whoops. All right. So, clean this out. Look at that. Beautiful little detent track, detent ball. good. We'll have to clean the detent ball hole, clean the lock bar. Don't really need to clean all this stuff, but I am because I'm OCD. All right, so that's all clean. Then we'll set the bearings aside because we're going to swap those. I can tell you right now that they're 5mm 1/16, but we'll use the card anyway. We're going to flip these washers over so that we have fresh washers for our new bearings. So you'll see on this side you have a little ring there. On this side you don't. So you want to use that side when you put in new bearings, if possible. All right, so here we have the pivot. So I'm just going to clean that off, flip it over, and I'm going to drive my driver into it. And then that'll clean the inside of the barrel. Don't think we got in there very well, so I'm going to use a T6. Grab one. Get a little bit deeper, so she said. And I wouldn't be afraid to, you know, twist in there and whatnot. I don't think it's going to mess up the threads unless you're going absolutely nuts. Then I'll take the pivot screw. One other thing I don't love about Best Tech builds, and the Stout is like this too, so I'm just in general. The pivot screws are usually very short, and I'm not the biggest fan of a short pivot screw. I'd rather have that pivot screw be a little longer. I'll show you what I mean in a second. So the threads, it's just kind of short. I don't know. I prefer when they're a little longer. Just a little personal thing. All right, everything's cleaned up. So we'll grab our skiffs just so we have them. Again, this little tin is from Tinker Force. If we use this guy, you'll see it's going to be a 1/16 size bearing right there. And the pivot is going to be a 5mm right there. So that's how I know it's 5mm 1/16. Then you do have to figure out which size of 5mm 1/16. You want to figure out the ball count. It's also what she said, I guess. But this one is 12 ball, and that's pretty much the most common for 5mm 1/16. I don't even know if he has a multi-row in this size, so you're pretty safe just buying the 12 ball ones if you get this size. But once you get up to like 6mm 1/16, then there's like 3 options depending on the size of the bearing pocket. It's the overall diameter. Some are multi-row, right? And you can either measure the pocket to figure it out, or you could just get the smaller ones and they'll work. But obviously the bigger multi-row ones, if they fit, would make more sense. Anyway, in this case, 5mm 1/16 12 ball, all right? So I'm going to get a little bit of, oh, I didn't even think of that. Okay, so hold on. Let me put a little bit of lubes on the washers. Drop those in so they don't fall out when we put them back together. This one's got some kind of gunk on it, but it should be fine. We should eat right through that, actually. I think I'm going to lube these up, and then I'm going to clean that because I don't like it. Okay. All right. So let me just, where's the one I was using? Here it is. Let me just see what's going on here. was trying not to drop it. Don't know if I can clean that up. Can you see that schmutz on there? Oh, that did come off. So probably good to clean that off if you see shit all over your bearing. Now that stuff, the bearings would have eaten through that pretty easily. But, you know, that way you don't have more gunk in there building up. I'll just clean it off. All right. So, yeah, that's much better. All right. Get some more lubes. I also didn't clean the detent ball hole. Guess I could lube this side too. It's not gonna hurt. All right. Grab this to clean our detent ball hole. Always good to do that, just in case there's something in there. You could blow a little air in there, or just, you know, take a Q-tip. See, there's a little bit of schmutz in there. I just like to make sure it's as clean as possible so we get the best detent we can. All right, then I'm going to take KPL Heavy and put that on the track. Whoops. And I always put too much, it's just how it goes. Put a little in the hole, a little in the ball, that's what she said. All right, that should be plenty. Now, we can put the knife together. So, we're gonna take this guy, and it's gonna go through here. Oh, let me clean these out. If you see it and it's dirty, you might as well clean it. No reason not to, honestly. You know, just a little something could help, could not, who knows. Should just pop right through. There we go. Now, I'm gonna do the same thing here because I remember, yeah, this side was real dirty. And that's probably what was on that washer. I don't know what that is. Actually, let me not use that. It's like a scratch off. All right, good enough. So we've got pretty much everything good to go. Just need to stack them up. So, nope, idiot. I need one of the bearings down here. All right, there we go. Put that on. This is gonna fall out probably. Oh, look at that, didn't fall out. Oh, I gotta figure out where the D shape goes down. So the best way to do this, in my opinion, is to just put it on an angle, get that D shape lined up, then push your liner in place. So it drags that pivot with it. That's how I've found. Now you can put the pivot in without putting the scale on. So I would just tighten this a little bit. You don't need to tighten it all the way, just enough so you're not gonna get a bunch of shenanigans going on, right? And then you can put your screws in here. And then depending on how you like to assemble your knife, some people like to, you know, loosen everything and then tighten it from the bottom up, the pivot down, whatever. You can do whatever you want, obviously, from here. I usually just tighten these, make sure everything's nice and tight, because I'm obviously going to put this scale on now. And sometimes it's a good idea, if I'm being honest, it's a good idea to do this. Take off the other side, because a lot of times those frame screws are actually on spinning barrels on the back spacer. So it's always a good idea to just double check this side. Just make sure that's all tight on both sides. I think it's worth the little 2 seconds of work there. Unless, you know, maybe not in this knife, but in some cases, if it's like a black coated knife, you're worried about, you know, stripping the coating on the screws or something. I don't know. That would be one reason not to do it, I guess. And for the inlays, I usually try to line them up, get the screws going, make sure everything feels good. That side I just tightened down, but then give them a little last crankage. Up to you how tight you go. I like to just turn until I feel it stop. I know that sounds dumb, but I'm not using all my hand strength, you know. Then we'll tighten this guy and we'll see where we're at. So we are centered, looks like. Looking at the spine, boom, boom, looks centered to me. Flick it out. We have no play and we have no rock. So that's my first test. That feel good? Yep, it feels good. Let me get a little bit of alcohol on the satin here. All right. Then, test action. With a fully tightened pivot, we are dropping like it's hot. I'm hearing a sound. Oh. Nope, it's gone. Nope. I think that's just, my theory on that is it's the washer. It's got to wear through that washer. It just takes a second. And it's just going to smooth out. Now, you do have the lube on the detent track showing there. I would just wipe off the excess. I wouldn't go crazy because you want it on there, obviously. Yeah. That feels great. Took about 5 flicks and it's broken in. I mean, still tight as shit. I don't think I could go to, yeah, no. And it looks good. So what I'll do is back off the pivot now. Take the pivot out to let everything kind of settle, readjust. Check this screw. That's tight. And you'll see it almost stayed centered with the pivot out. That's pretty impressive there. So the frame and everything is really holding this knife together. That's really nice. Now, I noticed the pivot is out of alignment. So that is probably my bad. I'm going to see if I can punch it out without having to take the whole knife apart. Would be nice. I would like to do that. Let me try a T6. There we go. All right. So I want to just turn that a little bit to get it perfect. So I don't know why that happened. I think it might have been when I was removing it, but we'll see. Tighten it back down. Oops. All right. Perfectly centered. No play at all. Ah, okay. I think it was out of whack to begin with. I think that's why I had that little sound. Because now it feels a little bit tighter, but in a good way. And it's very smooth. I don't have any of that just kind of like drop going on. Nice click. Yeah, this is perfect. So yeah, that was out of whack, and it's dead nut centered now. Because before it seemed like this was centered, but the tip was a little over. So good to know. All right, so now I'm going to remove it again. And this is where I test it. So you'll see that that is now perfect. And now I'm going to put this back in, tighten it down all the way. Dead nuts. It's a freaking tank, dude. And those bearings are just going to get better and better. No lash. Man, these are so good. All right. Back off one more time. Check. Looks good. Set it down. Clean this off again because there might have been oil that got on there or something. Okay. Now comes the moment of truth. The moment you guys love. Super glue. I have a whole video explaining why I use super glue if you're interested. I get asked a lot, so just a tiny bit. There we go. And then we're gonna go in. Look, centered. No play, it's a bank vault. Yeah, I tried to back off a touch this time. That's perfect. Dead nuts. Dead nuts. No play there. Everything looks good. D10's money. Bank vault. Drop like it's hot. And a nice click. Absolutely perfect all around. I would take this and just clean the tang here a little bit because any of that oil I put on there might have transferred. I'm just OCD. And there we go. That is the Purple Haze HALT. Let's work on the other one. I'll try to do this one a little quicker. And obviously, if you got everything you needed, you can peace out at this point. But we'll do the second one real quick, see how fast I can do it. Try to keep those screws in there because it's easier. Now, the one thing about this that'll be fun is it gives us an idea of the consistency of the build because it's not a lot of times that people get two of the same knife, right? So a lot of times you get one version of the knife. And you know what? Since I have knives made and I've handled hundreds of the same knife, I can tell you that there's differences from knife to knife. Are they all good usually? Yeah. I mean, obviously it depends on the OEM. In this case, it's Best Tech. And in my experience working with Best Tech, their consistency is next to Riot is the best. They're very, very consistent knife to knife. And it's really a pleasure when you're somebody QC checking knives and shipping knives not to feel a million differences because, you know, obviously you want every single customer to get the best knife. So clean that up. Grab this guy we used earlier, clean the D10 hole. And you will get, sometimes you'll get little barbs here. This is actually very smooth, but a lot of times this part's sharp because it's not a structural part. It doesn't matter. So a lot of companies don't knock that burr off or whatever. But, you know, Best Tech took that extra step on this one at least. Clean in these washers. Clean the blade down real quick. I love this knife, man. This design, this design is just fantastic. So, I didn't clean the pivot. can see there's some schmutz in there. Clean this one. Take your time with this. Make sure you get that pivot and that pivot screw clean, because that's the biggest factor. If you're gonna Loctite your knife, if you don't clean that out, if there's oil in there, even oil tolerant Loctites will struggle with that. So just something to note. All right, we want this kind, and we're gonna just put a little bit on the washers. There's our clean side. Just gonna place that down. And our clean side, place that down, good. Now we can hit our bearings. Oh, I don't have any. And this is why I stock up. Looks like I still have more. One more, uh-oh. Order some 5mm 1/16 bearings, looks like. So it would have been smarter to put the pivot in like that. Oh, no. Yeah, the washers are in. Okay, good. And then, yeah, since I'm building it this way, I can put the blade on. I can do the detent after. Dude, okay. I like to clean my fingers so I don't get, you know, lube on everything. Sometimes it's good to get lube on everything, but you know how it is. And don't even try to be accurate with your KPL, because it does, the bottles just get really hard to control over time. So, there we go. All right, drop this puppy on after I straighten this out. So again, I like to, that was not the best idea. Especially without a stop pin there, Kev. Where's my stop pin? Clean that with my fingers and drop it in. Definitely keep your stop pin in. So I want to rotate this so it's a little bit past center, and I'll show you why. I showed you the first time, but I'll show you again. So I just put it on. Try to get that stop pin to pop in place. Come on, baby. All right, maybe I went too far. There we go. There we go with the stop pin. Thank you, sir. So currently it looks like it's good, but it's not. That pivot is not in there. Don't know what is off. Sometimes you can use the blade to like push it around, you know, push the pivot around. It's holding, but it's just not in there. Was that it? Did it pop? Looks good. Still not positive, so I'm gonna, oh, that helped. Okay, so let me push it out and then try to get this straight. It's very hard to turn right now. Oh, hey, sometimes you get lucky. Just like clicked in. Let me just tighten this down. See if it feels right. It felt good. All right, we'll find out again, won't we, when we get it all together again. So that was gonna cross thread. I don't know if you noticed that. That was gonna cross thread on me. So what I did was I turned it backwards, counterclockwise. So if you do this, if you go to tighten your screw and it feels like it's binding and you don't wanna just spin through it and cross thread it, rotate it counterclockwise till it clicks. Hear that click? That means it hit that last thread and it's now not going to go in the wrong way. All right, so real quick, I'm gonna take these off and check those screws. These seem to be pretty good about it, but just gonna be consistent. Yeah, see, that needed a little turn. Wasn't much, wouldn't have affected anything, but hey. So then again, for the inlay, just lightly tighten them down, check everything, feels good. Tighten, tighten, yep. Then we'll put this guy on. And this one is lined up by those, well, I guess they both are, but having the clip and everything helps a lot, I think. I usually don't find many issues with inlays unless it's a like super budget knife or something, you know. All right, so we're together. We are dead centered already, so let's just see how we did. No play, tank. Yeah. Feels right, but I'm gonna go out and just check that pivot. We are locked in place. And then we're gonna test it one more time. Tighten. Is it centered? Yes. Dead nuts? Yes. Fire. Tank. Now, there you go. We went really tight that time, I guess. And those bearings are breaking in. If I back off a touch, like that, now it's coming down a little bit better. Still solid as a rock, and there we go. So this one's gonna be a little tougher than the last one, just because the last one, it seemed like I could just tighten it until it was fully tightened. Like I couldn't tighten it anymore, and then it was pretty much good to go. This one I think I need to be a little bit more deliberate with, but I think we'll be fine. Clean this. All right, here we go. Grab the super glue, and I wish pivots were just tooled deeper. On all knives. It's not this knife, it's every single knife I take apart. I just, sometimes the glue kind of sticks to it and takes it off the, and rotate, there we go. They look like a lot, but it was very little because I didn't actually take much of it. Okay, tried to go easy there, dead centered, flick, no play. Beautiful, he is so beautiful. Talking about me? I'm beautiful? Look at that. Whoops. We're good. Yeah, bank vault. No play or anything. Beautiful click, man. The sounds on this knife are just fantastic. Dead nuts. So there you have it, folks. We have two ATKnives HALTs with Skiff bearings. Easy disassembly, easy reassembly. Great construction. Great design. I mean, great price. $299. Best tech built with fat carbon. Oh, these are Magna Cut, by the way. Oops. These are Magna Cut, if you weren't aware. And I hear Best Tech's Magna Cut is excellent. It's supposed to be like 63 to 64, I think. You can check me on that. Check their website for what they list. But, man, the price point for who's making it and everything, I think is excellent. And because it's his first knife design, he's trying to be aggressive with the price. And I think you guys should take advantage of it. So pick one up, support my buddy Lewis, and let me know if you guys have any questions. I love you. I hope you have a great day. Lewis, congrats, dude. You killed it. And can't wait to see what you do in the future. I will catch you guys later. Peace.